It's Barb coming to you from the living room. I'm going to talk to you today about the Get Organized Challenge. We're starting month 2 now. I'll be right back. First, I was going to kind of review just the last month, kind of do my little progress post. I kind of created a like 1 inch equals a foot type layout for what will be my studio, and made little cardboard things for cardstock things for the different furniture, and kind of was like doing a layout, kind of getting an idea of how I want it set up. Now some things might change a little bit because I swear no matter how careful I am with that, I end up off a little bit. I'm usually close. Actually, I think I tried to make the room slightly smaller than it is, and I made my little cardstock things slightly bigger, so there should be room for everything. But I got that done, and I kind of got a list of everything I need to purchase that I could think of off the top of my head for the studio TV room. Because like I need a love seat and an area rug. I actually already ordered the area rug. My husband's retired from Kohl's, so since he retired from there, he still gets his discount. And they had a special employee shop day, so I was able to get the rug that I really liked for an affordable price. My daughter's like, that's kind of expensive. I just bought a rug, and I'm like, well, this one's 8 foot by 11 foot. I said I wanted 8 by 10, but they didn't have that in the design I wanted. So, but they had 8 by 11, and I'm like, that'll fit. And she goes, oh, the one I bought was a lot smaller, so that makes sense. I said I got it for way less than that because of the discount, the special discount. But anyways, I think I've left that in there. I'll try to remember my changes to it. This month we're going to work on paper, and I always, for myself, include vinyl and fabric in there. Basically what would be the base of your project. So I was really hoping to be in my studio by now, but I don't know when it's going to get done. They haven't even tried to come back out and trench yet. But your goal, your homework for this month will be, of course, to watch Tiffany's video, to choose a storage tool for your paper. If you can, go vertical. It's the way to go. Now those shelving units that they have in like Michael's, Joann, Hobby Lobby. Joann just makes me sad because I prefer shopping. I like shopping there. A lot of times didn't shop there as often just because of where it is. I buy the Michael's or Hobby Lobby more. And my budget seems to sustain Hobby Lobby a little bit better, though I hate shopping there. But they're designed to display like 25, 50 sheets of the same design. That's why they're sold for stores, because they put a different design paper on each level. So if you can go vertical, it's better because it's a lot easier to thumb through it without having to take everything out of the box and do it. Create templates or dividers for sorting. You'll use your themes and sentiments that you created last month to do that. I've actually sorted before where you can do it either where you lay it out on a flat surface, or you can do it like get a upright paper holder and put your dividers in there and sort, and then just keep expanding into more if you need to. Sort. I decided 24 inches would be a good number for the whole month. If you divide that by 4 weeks, that's 6 inches a week, which I think is doable. I mean, in some weeks you might do more, and other weeks you might be, oh, we're busy that week, I'm not going to get anything done. But if your March is really hectic, you have additional challenges health-wise or whatever, doesn't have to be just health-wise, but whatever, modify that number. I'll tell you, I wouldn't bring it up. Even if you think you can do more, I would leave it at the 24 inches and consider anything above that bonus. Decide on your minimum scrap size that you're going to keep and get rid of the rest, and then sort what you are keeping. Put your newly organized paper into your organized only area of your room. And then I'm going to add these ones. These ones weren't on Tiffany's list, but in April we will do photos and mementos. After you get the other homework done, start gathering that stuff together. Decide where you're going to store that stuff and clear enough space to start putting the organized stuff back in. The whole area doesn't have to be empty, just enough to start putting, once it's organized, back up there, because as you sort more, you'll create more space there. So really just having that space is good, because once you pull out something to sort, you've got an area to put your organized stuff. So I'm going to add that to each month to create that organized only space for the next month. That way, as you go through the challenge, your room will hopefully grow into a completely organized space, but each area will have at least something organized. Share your progress. You can either do that on Facebook, on the YouTube video of mine, or by telling a friend or relative that, hey, I'm trying to do this. So, maybe you tell them. Maybe you want to ask me about it every so often, just to hold me accountable for trying to get it done. I was going to talk a little bit. Here's some advice for Tiffany first, but I'll do this first. Do things in small chunks. Don't pull out 24 inches of paper to sort all at once. I mean, if you want to have a place to set that, fine. But sort out, grab a couple of inches, because usually we can get a couple inches done before, hopefully without interruption, get it done. That way you're not leaving yourself a mess that, I got in the middle of this, and then you just kind of end up piling up and you're not organized. It's not organized anymore. So do it in small increments. Even if you only pull an inch out and sort it, then you're like, oh, I have more time, I'll pull out another inch. That's fine. You can always do more than you originally pull out, but don't give yourself so much that you're not going to get it done in one setting. Make sure you have time to complete your task before you get started. Small tasks add up to big success. Big tasks, this goes into why I say only do a couple inches, and Tiffany only says it too. Big tasks, when you fail, make you feel bad. So if you pull out that 24 inches of paper and you say, I'm going to sit down and sort this all, and you only get through 3 inches, you feel bad. If you pull out an inch or two and you finish and then you take more, you feel good about yourself. So she goes into setting the scrap minimum. before you begin, which I already told you. She says if you're using paper storage boxes and dividers, use sticky notes to label. That way you don't do your permanent label until you're done, in case your categories change. Because sometimes you might discover, I don't have any of this. I thought I had a lot of this theme. I don't have any. You can change it to something else then. Sort in natural light whenever possible, she says. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I organize my paper. I'm not going to be able to give you all my categories, but I kind of have 3 main categories in each color. So I do my solids, my patterns, and my specialty paper. My solid papers, I usually buy named colors. I prefer that because then I can easily find more of whatever color, whereas if I grab those colors that don't have names, if I run out and I need more of it, I can't find it. Now, I buy those paper pads that have solid colors, but I just put that stuff at the beginning and I grab them for a project where I'm only going to need 1 or 2 sheets of paper, because that's usually all there is of each color. But if I'm doing a bigger project or a scrapbook thing where I'm trying to keep it all in the same tones, then I make sure I use a named color. And then I bought these sleeves on Amazon, which I will try to make a blog post and find those and put a link to them on my blog. That I'm trying to think. They might actually be designed to hold paper. I was thinking, did they hold paper or did they hold albums? But I think it is paper. And in a sleeve, I can put like one of those Michaels cardstock things. They used to have 48 sheets in them. I think they have less of them now, the card packs from like the Hot Buy. They don't really have the Hot Buy anymore, but they have something similar. I could put a whole one of those in there, so it was great for, I use a lot of like Basil. I've ordered some American Craft cardstock. Their colors are named, and you can put it right in. And then I slide it in there, and I put a little. I think they're kind of. I either use Tiffany's Shut Your Flap Taps or those like little sticky tab dividers, and I write the color name on that. I usually use my labeler. I bought some clear labels that have black print, and I also bought some that have white, because that works better on the darker colors. And I made little tabs that I write the color names on each one, and then I sort them down so they create a little tab thing so that I can easily find the color I'm looking for. That's how I do my solids. My patterns, I have several subcategories. I can't remember them all, but I know there's like dots, florals. I do not do a theme for florals because I don't necessarily think, oh, I need floral paper for this. I usually think even if I do need floral paper, I usually go, I need pink floral paper or a certain color. So I put all my floral paper in my rainbow. So I got like dots, florals, stripes, plaids. I know there's other ones, but those are the 4 I can think of, 4 or 5 there that I listed that I can think of off the top of my head. Yours may be different. Some people have distressed. I'm trying to think, what's that one they call where it like gradiates? And then I have a section at the end called the rest. It's kind of like the Gilligan's Island theme song. So then I have a category at the end for the rest, ones that I only have like 1 or 2 sheets of. They don't need their own subcategory. So that's how I do my pattern paper. And then my specialty paper, and again, I cannot remember all of them, but I know there's foil, there's glitter, there's pearl. I put pearl and shimmer in the same place because they look the same to me. I mean, if they don't to you, that's fine to separate them. But that vellum, and I put my white core there because I don't like grabbing a sheet of white core when I need solid core. So I don't keep that much white core because I really only use it for like embossing or something specific. So it just has a special category at the end, even though it's usually solid paper. I have a special category at the end of my specialty paper called white core. And then my scraps, we'll talk a little bit about size. Tiffany, I think, recommends nothing smaller than 6 by 12, which I'm like, I buy 6 by 6 paper. Why would I have a scrap size smaller than the size paper I buy? So just, that's her philosophy. I think she's starting to get into cards, but I don't think she used to be a card maker when she was first starting all the challenge. So she might even recommend a smaller size now, but at one point I know it was 6 by 12. Decide on what your smallest size is. Now, if you use them for die cutting little things, you probably keep a fairly small size. Even, card crafters tend to keep, I think, card makers tend to keep smaller sizes than like scrapbookers do, I think. But decide what yours is. I'm going to give you my little tip for what I did. I take my scraps and I cut them into my most used sizes. Like if it's big enough to make a card base, if I've got enough, what would it measure? 4 1/4 by 11 or 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Either of those two where I can fold it in half and make an A2 card, or even a 5 by 7 card. I can do that, but I keep more of the A2, what we call A2 in the US anyways, card bases, than any other size card base. Usually if I make a bigger card, I'm doing it on my Cricut, so I need a bigger sheet of paper anyways. But I cut them down to that, and I score, if they're card bases, I score them, do the fold in half, and I file them using the 4-section system. Usually for paper, it's only 3 sections, because usually you don't have alphabet numbers for paper, because usually if it's got words or letters or whatever on it, it goes into a theme for paper. It just tends to be how it works. But I do that, and then I have most of the We Are Memory Keepers punch boards. I love those things. Some of them use set sizes. I know the alphabet punch boards do. I have both the mini and the regular one. They use a set size to start with and punch out. So I cut down to those sizes. I actually think there is a list. I might need to make a new one for my craft room of the sizes that I use a lot. I keep it there, and then when I'm doing my scraps, because sometimes I don't cut them down right away, I go through and I cut them and do it. I need to get better about just doing it right away. I'm trying to decide whether I should cover this one here or not. Tiffany has, I actually asked her for it, a maintenance schedule for your craft room. So she created it, and I think there was where she talked about the go back station. I created one of those. I dedicate kind of a cube to that in my room, and I've got 3 of Tiffany's Paper Junkie boxes. One for themes, one for rainbow, and one for seasonal. And I have little dividers in there, and when I'm crafting, when I finish with something, I file it behind the category. It gets filed back in. I think all of my dividers are like pocket dividers. They're Tiffany's 12 by 12 pocket dividers. So if it's a small item, I can put it inside that envelope, that little pocket, so it doesn't get lost. So I do that. So then if I don't have time to totally pick up and put everything away, I can at least get it sorted down by the theme. I do that with my new stuff too. If I'm not going to put it away, I at least sort it down by the theme. So, and then I just have one cube dedicated to that, to my go back, because 3 of Tiffany's, the Paper Junkie boxes will fit in there, and then there's a little extra room. So if I buy a paper pad or something, I can slide it in there to put away later. Paper pads, Tiffany recommends either adding a sticky note or writing on the spine, then like the name or theme of that paper pad, and filing it as close to the theme that it fits as you can. I don't recommend this to people who don't have their paper done, but what I have done with my paper is I've pulled those paper pads apart. I had a stack, a huge stack. I think I had 2 cubes full of them. When I needed to do a project, I would just look at those and think, I'm not going through all those. So I wasn't using the paper, which is a waste of money. So one thing I decided to do once my paper was fairly well organized was go through those and pull it apart. The exception for this is if it's a Christmas pad of paper, sometimes I'll just slide that into my Christmas section and go with it. Usually eventually I break it down, but sometimes to start with I'll put it there. Because a lot of times when I first get like a totally themed pack like that, I'll use a lot of it together. But that's what I do, is I pull them apart. And somebody says, but they kind of coordinate. But you know what? They're also usually similar colors, so they end up in the rainbow in the same area anyways. So they're kind of together anyways. And sometimes then you also find something that coordinates really well with it that you wouldn't have thought about using it with. But that's what I do. Started doing with my paper pads now, is I tear them apart. And I'll tell you, I use that paper more. I still have more paper than what I probably will ever need in my lifetime. Not gonna stop buying paper. I'll just put it out there. I'm probably not gonna stop buying paper. It's a weakness, but I do tend to go for the cheaper paper pads at Michael's when they're on sale, which they don't do as on sale as I'd like it as much anymore. So I am buying less paper. So that's kind of how I do what I do with my paper pads. If you have page kits, this is probably the month to sort those. I don't have a lot of kits. I've gotten Tiffany's, what does she call them? You probably can't find them anyways right now. Collection keepers, I think is what she calls them. Like the Scrapmaster would work too. I use the Scrapmasters for my scraps. They have different pockets, different sizes, and I put the scraps that'll fit in the different size pockets, and then I slide that at the front of my color. Now, if they're from one of my named colors, I usually put it I have those in that pocket, and I put the scrap right in the front, because then I see the scrap first. Another thing I do is if my Scrapmaster is starting to get too full, I go through and weed it down, and I check again, was there some of these that I could cut down to sizes that I use a lot? And if there are, I cut them down and use them. It's part of my maintenance is my scraps. And at the end of the challenge, I will try to share that maintenance PDF that Tiffany gave us. I know it is in the Get Organized with Totally Tiffany group, and it might be in the Barb's Craft Studio Facebook group as well. But that's kind of what I do with my paper. And then my vinyl is the same way. I use Tiffany's vinyl roll organizers, and I don't tend to keep mine on the rolls once they get down to 12 by 12 or smaller. Then I store them flat. But when there's still enough on the roll, I keep them in Tiffany's vinyl roll organizer sleeves. And I have one of her vinyl roll organizer containers. You could also use a paper organizer, paper handler, or something like that. Or even her Slide Stash and Store. I think that's what they're called. And I have I still think it's a collection keeper. It's got kind of a similar thing to as a Scrapmaster, but it's not as thick. It's got like a sleeve on 12 by 12 pocket on one side, and then it's got 3 smaller pockets on the other. I use those for my vinyl, and I have one for iron-on, one for permanent, and one for removable. And then there's 3 of those in each color, and then I file them by color. And then I have one at the end. Then I have the same thing at the end. I have my seasons, and I put my vinyl because I've got like some Christmas vinyl and things like that, so I put those in the seasonal area of my vinyl. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, infusible ink. I actually store that at the end because I use that for something very specific. I do that with a few of my really special papers, like crepe paper. I'm not going to use that on a regular crafting project. I just don't. I suppose you could, and if you do, then you want to keep it with the rest of your paper. But me, I mainly use that for when I make flowers, or flowers is the big one. I'm sure there might be something else, but I keep my crepe paper separate, and I file it. I sort it by color. So hopefully I can get into my studio. Hopefully they can get out here, once they get that electricity out there, I can get out there. they'll be able to finish up what's left, I think, in no time. So I need to contact her. I did write a blog post, kind of the overview of the paper with link with a few of the PDFs put in there already, and links to a couple of Tiffany's videos, which I know she has the class video. She has a video of her sorting paper and a video of her sorting scraps. I think I forgot to add the paper sorting video, but I will try to link those all at the end of this video so you can find them. But I think paper is probably a month that most people are probably, first off, glad that we're doing it a month, and second off, probably will be able to really use an entire month to sort their paper and still may not finish. But like I said, I put it for 24 inches just because I thought 6 inches a week I thought was a realistic goal. That's like an inch a day, and a day you don't have to do any. So I thought that seemed realistic to me than trying to say, oh, you need to do 1 or 2 inches a day, and then, well, sometimes life happens, and one day that week, I might even only have one day that week that I can dedicate to it, and could do the whole 6 inches for that week in one day. But, you have to just think, how do you want to do it? If you can do more, great, But I really wish they'd get done, because I was hoping to be able to share videos starting this month of my paper organization and give you a closer look at how I actually have it set up. I did make an older video where I did that at my old house, my old studio. But anyways, that's all I've got to share today. I want to thank you for joining me. I'll catch you next time.